What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Weaponized Autism. Yeah, it's a Wednesday stream today. I am your host, Chris, flying solo for the evening. Kason will be back on Friday, where we will be doing a movie discussions episode on Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. So, definitely look forward to that one. That's going to be a fun. That should be a fun episode. But tonight, we've got a bit of a show for you. We've got some more Fleekazoid. We've got a brand new video from Bubba. Another Ben Azuli video from Bubba. Oh, that's beautiful. We have a new video from Josh the editor. We featured his hit a couple of his funny comment compilation videos before. We have, if we have time for it, we have a new video from Gara of the Rage. We are debuting Joe from Seattle on the channel, who does content very similar to what Gara makes. We're also debuting a content creator by the name of Cody Leach, who has some takes on Resident Evil and Resident Evil fans. And so we're gonna see what he's got to say. But first, we have Batman Arkham Death Screen. Oh, really? Is that right, Casey? That's cool. Follow Cody for... Oh, well. I only just learned of Cody through this video because somebody shared it to Twitter yesterday, so I was like, oh, that would be something interesting to put in the stream. Hang out for about 10 minutes. Hey, that's cool, brother. No doubt you'll be coming in for the highlight video, which is this 44-second short where it's Batman Arkham Death Screen, but it's Leon Kennedy one-liners. Let's go.
Should have thought twice before crossing this animal. Silent Hill. It's awfully loud in here if you ask me. Mario, looks like it's time to party. Freddy, it doesn't look like you're surviving 5 nights with me.
Apparently I have to add out because otherwise YouTube moderation thinks it's... Neil, fuck off.
Dark Souls. I think I'm pretty light on my feet myself. And Elden Ring. Can't really pick up right now, sorry. Overcooked. I prefer my steak medium rare. Well, maybe, I like rare as well. Call of Duty. I usually read the newspaper when I'm on the toilet.
Bro.
Damn, I feel kind of guilty fighting all these zombies, but I guess I'm not the sole bad guy here. Pac-Man. I'm going on vacation for another couple weeks. YouTube won't let me swear.
Wow. Hey, Leon, how many cheesy one-liners do you want to use in this video? Yes. Alright, well... With that out of the way, let's now jump over to Fleekazoid with his brand new video, There's No Hope for Ubisoft. I mean, what else is new?
YouTube won't let me swear for the first 15 seconds, so instead I'm showing you how a baby ship is born. Pimps! I don't know what I was expecting.
I can't say fuck off, Leon. Oh, come on.
After years of making the worst additions to my favorite series, Ubisoft did the impossible. That's right, they didn't completely fuck it all up. Now, I can see the future, but not even I thought they'd actually stop making RPGs. That was the single most important thing for this game to be a success, and you can tell it was hard for him. Look at this guy. This guy was almost in tears the whole stream. Guys, how did you pull this off? Did you vote on it while all the executives were out sunning their taints?
That we did.
This is devastating news.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You know, I played Assassin's Creed 1. I played Assassin's Creed 2. I started on Assassin's Creed, I think it's Brotherhood. I think it's Brotherhood that comes after 2. They lost me with the whole base building and tower defense and whatever else was in that. It's like, dude, I just want to parkour and assassinate people. Why is that? That should be the gameplay loop. Period. Is like you have this really cool world where you can just parkour around in and assassinate people. What was so fucking complicated about that?
News to the psychos who enjoyed the last 5 mistakes Ubisoft released. Unfortunately, Ubisoft has finally failed hard enough that they don't have to listen to those fucking those stupid that like taking up the They have to go back to what works. One might even say there's no hope for you guys, and it's time to give up. See what I did there? Huh? Paul, what do you think of that joke?
So, Matt?
Love it, Paul. Don't worry, the good news is your favorite part of the game will still be in Black Flag. The cash shop. Tencent would never miss a chance to milk the fuck out of this IP. Just look at Conan Exiles, or Path of Exile, or any other game in the Exile-like genre. But the reality is, even milking the shit out of this game is not going to stop it from being successful, because that's just how low the bar was. This is like getting the free space in bingo. If you somehow messed this up, which, let's be honest, was seeming real possible, don't think I haven't seen the dumb shit you're doing to the Far Cry show, then there was never...
Oh my lord.
Real possible. Don't think I have...
I don't know if y'all saw this. Noah Hawley, the same ear-biting dolt behind Alien Earth, says he's not adapting any of the Far Cry games for his TV series, says games are built in a way that doesn't make for the best drama. Believes players often skip cutscenes. When you play a video game, you only really... Oh, sorry, I gotta do the actual... When you play a video game, you only really move forward through the gameplay section, and then you have these cutscenes that you can skip. So when you go to adapt those games, you have to be aware that makes the human drama kind of irrelevant to the storyline.
Do you even process what you say before you say it?
Because you sound fucking stupid. Bro. How does Uwe Boll have a better understanding of how to adapt a video game than you? And I'm saying that unironically.
I haven't seen the dumb shit you're doing to the Far Cry show. Then there was never...
How does Uwe Boll, who has never played a video game in his life, by his own admission, understand video games better than you do?
Never gonna be a comeback of any kind. Now, while this doesn't solve all their problems, it doesn't have to. Ubisoft just needed a single win this year after failing for so long. And even with an almost guaranteed success, they barely made it happen. Don't forget the other 3 games that had to die so that this remake could live. Which, I mean, hey, nothing of value lost. Those other games suck. My nostalgia is better than yours, Dan and Boo, but no, don't complain, it's too late. As you can see, I've already depicted myself as the Chad, and you as the soy Wojak. Chudmate Chet, you son of a bitch. But let that paint the picture of what a thread Ubisoft is hanging on to here. By the way, it's great that all you guys suddenly want to agree that the RPG mechanics are shit, because for years, I've been waving on that wall of stupid... Any complaint beyond RPG mechanics is pointless. People will hunt you down if you dare to badmouth this remake. Have you seen Twitter? Shit's hilarious. I saw a man torn limb from limb for pointing out that the lighting seemed a little bit off. Another guy said it ran poorly. Well, he should have ran faster. Meanwhile, Ubisoft brought 10 people in to say how great the game is, and I was more than happy to show up without an invite.
Black Flag is my favorite game.
They were very open as a dev team to take the criticism.
These people can't even say criticism. Not a single one of these people have played the game, except maybe that guy. To cut their rambling short, only one of these people have played the game, except maybe that guy.
Why does he look like Butterbean? Why does he look like the boxer Butterbean?
To cut their rambling short, all they say is, we're being faithful to the original intent of the game. Which is a funny way to say we wanted to give those whores that 1,000-pound stare. I said, damn, girl, you putting whipped cream on them sausages? I understand technical limitations are a thing, especially with today's tech being so bad. Modern day Anvil is, and I say this with all due respect, a dog shit engine that's pumped out the worst games of the entire series. So try to make a game that's actually fun and playable again is a huge challenge, I get that. But did you have to make these distinguished hoes salad dodgers, Jean? Nice cue, by the way.
And it was very compelling to me to see other people like actually to face the same challenges that we did.
I want to hear about the
back
cue.
in the days.
Wow, great stuff, Pierre. You love to hear it. I've also heard people saying how great it is to bring Black Flag up to industry standards. Industry standards. By industry standards, do you mean let's have every game play the same, look the same, and suck the same? Is it the industry?
Yeah, industry standard, the MCU method, if you will.
Standard to make the game more boring by removing one of the coolest mechanics? And of course by that I mean her upper lip? Perhaps it was the original intent for this game to not be fun. Perrier, tell me, why is it that every time we increase the graphics we end up losing half the gameplay mechanics?
We're already part of the game, the original back then.
That is a fantastic point for someone who understands what the fuck you're saying. Paul, your thoughts?
Absolutely.
Great stuff, Paul. The funniest part about all this is what a turnaround in perception Ubisoft has gotten. After actively screwing fans over for the better part of a decade, now everyone is rooting for him again. Now even if the cash shop is there with the time savers and cosmetics and $20 pay-to-win items, they're gonna get a free pass.
Nope, not for me. Absolutely not for me, Ubisoft. You can... you can,
take a big step back and literally fuck your own face!
Yeah. For what you've done, or more specifically, what you haven't done with Splinter Cell for the last 15 fucking years.
You know what? I say fuck it. Go ham, Ubisoft. Go get yours, you snail suckers. I want to see 2B blasting Frenchies with a flintlock. Bring in the purple laser cannons. Get Dallas robbing the founding fathers. I want DLC to make Bonnet even fatter. Look bigger. Just by not doing an RPG, you've already...
Alien Earth is better prequel than Prometheus and Covenant. Hot take, Alien didn't need a prequel.
Unlock the key to success. It goes to show that more people hated the RPG mechanic than they did the original combat. Oh, well, you're just button mashing. Ah, yes. Thank you for fixing it now so that we're not button mashing, we're mashing buttons instead. Truly, the R1 button is superior to the X button. Ain't that right, Todd? Oh, wait, no, not you. Ain't that right, y'all? Now, without saying merging two fantasies, tell me why you did this to the combat.
But the other challenges we were facing was to merge actually two fantasies.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I wasn't listening. More importantly, we gotta address the elephant in the room. Is it true that you removed the modern segments that forced me to hear French against my will?
That we did.
You're one of the good ones, y'all! It's almost enough to make me forget the last 10 years of grindy Souls-like cash grabs you've been shoving down our throats. The shanties may sound like they're sung by pansies, but that's okay. The takedown system sounds like it's been bolted on, but that's okay. The mini-map is gone, the skill wheels are here, and you're using the same goddamn Sparta kick again, but say it with me now, that's okay. Listen, I know you guys really need this win, all right? I'm not gonna take that from you. Personally, I've got so many other games to play that it doesn't even matter to me. Like,
let's see. For me, roughly about almost 800 games in my Steam library, over 800 games in my GOG library, and the absolute mountain of games in my emulation backlog.
Nah, you know what? Fuck it, this looks great. Paul, I know you've talked a lot today, but I'd love if you could just send us off with a few final words. The cup is coming this month, pimps, and I got some news. Gamersub said the more people that use code...
Oh, you're good, Case, and I'll catch you later, brother. You go enjoy your class.
Pimp for free samples, the bigger they'll let me make the honkers. So go claim that shit and let's get the biggest jugs Gamersubs has ever seen on a cup. Let's be like Neil Armstrong planting that flag on that studio set in LA. We can do it, pimps.
Last time on the Alpha Male Universe.
You guys are the best future.
Oh, Lord.
If you guys gonna make a joke out of everything, then the future is gonna look like a joke. When my ex took my son away from me and didn't want me in his life, I decided I'm either going to chase, which I did for a very long time through courts, or I'm going to attract. By attracting, how do I do that? Become King Azulai.
Welcome back to the Alpha Male Universe. Now,
Kaysen, when you watch the VOD later, be thankful for the fact that you missed out on this absolute, this absolute.
truthfully, guys, I want to apologize because I have not been keeping this full in check. He has been making non-stop content, and I feel like I'm just falling behind in covering this weirdo swole cow. The Alpha Male Universe is full of so many different characters, and when I have covered other people, it's taken away valuable energy and time that should have been used cooking this lame, because he is the worst AMU person for sure. This guy is awful trash, and he recently, well, not recently, but a month ago, went to a high school, even though he has an S conviction on his public record, and gave a speech to a bunch of high schoolers. Now, this is technically part 2, and we're going to talk all about it. So you know what? Without further ado, hit that like button, and let's get this show on the fucking road.
I stay away from completely all substance. I don't smoke. I don't vape. Kids that vape, right away I come to them. I take their vape in the middle of the street. You vape? Anybody here vapes?
Please do not go anywhere near those kids. Please stay well out of arm's reach of those kids, Ben. We've found out what happens when you get within arm's reach of children.
Yeah, ask him to go. Yeah! Ask him to go. One more thing. I don't go for instant gratification. I don't want to feel that high of a dopamine from something outside them.
No, you want a bunch of people glazing your nuts on the internet. That's how you get your dopamine hits.
My inner power.
I love how this fucking doofus can't even remember that in the literal intro of this video, it's him smoking. And then here's another picture of him with the hookah, which is arguably worse than maybe cigarettes or a cigar. Oh, and let's just throw the cigar in there as well, okay?
Ben.
Exposed, 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 exposed.
You know, I couldn't remember if he'd ever smoked cigars on camera or not, so I almost made a comment about it, but I figured, you know what, just let the video run out. I guess Bubba did it for me. Jesus. Ben! 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 Why do you have the memory of a goldfish? Why do you have a worse memory than me?
So how does this guy even rationalize just lying to a bunch of high schoolers? And in the grand scheme of things, is this
probably with the same muscle he uses to rationalize lying about assaulting a 15-year-old girl
as important as his more serious things? Of course not, right? But I just wanted to highlight how he cannot even maintain like integrity, like at all, like literally at all. And I'm not gonna sit here and roast him about the fact that he is telling high schoolers not to smoke. I don't smoke. I don't think anyone should. It just ruins your life. It ruins everything.
Used to smoke, never really developed into a full habit. I haven't smoked in over a year or 2 years-ish.
About you, like go out for a run if you're a habitual smoker and you'll find out how much that's really robbing you of your life. But what I'm basically saying is that he can't even maintain the standard that he is trying to teach people.
Is Ali really a nice guy?
You not know what the real meaning of nice? Somebody that is clueless.
I went in what was the last thing you invented being an extra?
Matter of fact, I just posted about an invention that I made.
My friends right now, it's mobility. We all have pets. Can we still become inventors? Is that possible?
100%. So let me tell you guys, it's very, very important that you understand.
Let's see. Alt Lucas. I dare you fart as hard as loud. Brother. Anyways.
Where you're at right now does not determine how your future ends. I was in jail 7 times. Once I didn't let that determine my future.
Alright, that is just way too much brain rot for you guys. Okay, look, I'll just give you a breather. This guy is getting trolled. 100%. People are asking him, can the F students be the inventors? Ali, are you a nice guy? If you don't know anything about those phrases, consider yourself lucky, right? But this student says that all...
Yeah, somehow Ben Azuli has managed, in his entire career, has managed to generate more brain rot than the 6'7" meme. Do you guys know they have 6'7" chicken nuggets? I feel like the second a meme becomes a brand, it's officially a dead meme.
All of his friends are on probation. Brother, you go to Malibu High School. What are you talking about? Like, this shit is 100% troll. Like, just 100%. And you know what? Do I believe that he was in jail 7 times? You know, considering how insane this guy is, I may actually believe that. I may actually think that he is telling the truth for once. Maybe you can comment down below if you agree or disagree. So, let's jump back into the brain rot, which is Princess Azule.
Once I didn't let that determine my future. Because at the end of the day, I looked at the world and I said I can either become the best version of me, so I can inspire others to do better, or I could go end up like the guys that end up in a jail cell, end up on the street, end up homeless, druggies. What do I want to become? I said, no, I'm a didn't have a dad to teach me these things.
Yes, you did. Stop fucking lying. You were a pampered Beverly Hills kid. Or Beverly Hills adjacent. Both of your parents, you had a 2-parent home. Stop fucking lying, Ben.
That's why I got into trouble. But I'm here teaching you.
You got into trouble because you're a fucking rapist.
To prevent from getting into trouble in the future. You get that? So all your friends that are on probation, it's time to become good. And not just for you, also for your friends. That's my chance. He's watching. He gave you all that strength, all that power, and what are you doing with it? Wasting it?
He's an inventor.
You know, honestly, it's wild that the princess shifts responsibility onto his father as to why he has an S crime conviction on his case. He wants to say, oh, I did all of these wrong things in my life because my dad didn't teach me, guys. My dad didn't teach me. Bro, this guy is literally insane. That is fucking diabolical to pawn that onto your dad. But you know what? I want to point this out. I've noticed that the audio for this video is scuffed. I did not modify it. I did not do anything like that, okay? And I honestly think it's because I swear I can hear people in the background hurling insults at him, saying shit, trying to troll him. And the editor who probably got this footage was like, oh shit, I need to just edit everyone's voice out and only focus on the princess. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but I swear I can hear people insulting him in the background.
You learning at a restaurant, can you explain to us that story?
Alright, do you want to go back to crazy stories? Yeah, when I was 10 years old, I came to the US.
Oh my lord. Is he seriously going to give us the story about how he beat off 30 men? And then somehow that plus question mark equals hired by the Russian mob at 15. Is he seriously going to go through that?
You're serious? Hey, I can be stupid too.
Fuck.
My family, we moved into an apartment building right across the street. I always go Bruce Lee. It was like the biggest inspiration. I came from Israel with nunchucks. I saw this guy.
Why do you give off the aura of the guy who used to practice roundhouse kicks in his bedroom at night and was just like, yeah, I'm a martial arts master. Hey, nobody'll fuck with me. Hey. Fuck off, Ben.
I first got there to go in there, I started to eat some pumpkin. That's my favorite food. When it's gone, Johnny always went out to me. It's like, deal with this hot
Okay. There's so many fucking stupid stories coming out of this dude's mouth at every time he opens, every time he talks, that it's nearly impossible for me to keep track of all of them. Okay, so we're getting the bullshit story of how the restaurant owner taught me kung fu. Like, no, he fucking didn't. I've seen your training videos, Ben. You make Andrew Tate look like Chuck Norris.
My dream is one day to get to China and train. I want to be like this kid. And that's when I got to know him. I would come at lunchtime. That's the time that he spoke.
I would come at lunchtime. Excuse me, guys. I would come at lunchtime. No, I'm not reading anything Freudian into that.
Lunch special. Yeah, the lunch special after 3 o'clock. Relief school at 3. I come in there. Everybody, the whole place is booked for about an hour, and that's when he would train me. You want to see some movies?
You know that not one of these kids is buying 1 ounce of this horse shit. At least we do. But he's so fucking desperate for validation, for outside validation, that he's just gonna tell himself that yes, these kids are being fully 100% genuine with him. It's like, actually, it would be hilarious if it wasn't so pathetic.
If you're just listening to this video, then my apologies, because you're probably at this point just hearing mumbo jumbo bullshit, because the audio is beyond scuffed. For sure someone was trying to like counter protest him or something. Like, there's just no way the audio is this weird, this like manipulated for no reason. And what I wanted to say is that when I first introduced the princess to the AMU, the Alpha Male Universe, when we stumbled upon him as a community on our voyages in time and space, finding alpha male grifters, I genuinely thought that the kung fu shit was hilarious. I thought it was satire. I actually thought that the princess was like satire of Andrew Tate. And then all of the shit came out, like showing how...
Yeah, no, there's nothing satirical about Benazuli. Like, he is so high on his own piss. He's like an Israeli Steven Seagal. He is so high on his own exhaust that he genuinely believes himself to be this Timu Israeli Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's genuinely depressing.
How ridiculous, how much of a monster he is. But the fact that he like still tells this story like with a straight face, saying that he came from a different country with nunchucks and some Chinese guy taught him everything, is fucking embarrassing and a testimony of his delusion.
You actually got within arm's reach of a kid. You actually got within arm's reach of a kid. Oh, Ben. Oh, Ben. Oh. You baffle me as a person.
So in a test of strength to flex on the high school, the princess decides to hold back this student with just one finger, and then goes on to take a bunch of photos with the school and the students. Honestly though, I have to ask a question, like, who legitimately thought it was a smart idea to allow a guy with an S-crime conviction on his record to literally touch students, like give them hugs, like dap them up or whatever? Like, what is, like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, sometimes I question, like, what is going on in this world? It's year 2026. I would have the impression that things are supposed to get better as time goes on, but it just really feels like life is getting like shittier and more batshit insane. Like, people who are genuine monsters like Princess just keep getting away with crazy nonsense, and it just feels like there's no repercussions. I mean, sure, he got kicked out of an MMA event, which is great, right? People are putting pressure on him in real life, but I don't know. The guy just keeps doing crazy shit and nothing ever stops, man. So the only thing that we can do is constantly roast him, because I know it pisses him off. So you know what? Smash that like button, and then, yeah, hopefully I see you in a future AMU episode. Later, guys.
All right.
Guys!
Dude is like physically maddening to me. I'm gonna develop a headache, so we're gonna move on. So we have a new video from Josh, the editor. Josh runs a clips channel called Oh No, Alex Streams, which is a fan channel of Oh No, It's Alex. We featured him on the channel before. That takes clips from Alex's weekly live streams and repost them as like, hey, here's the highlights of the night. So, but Josh also does his own videos. We've featured him on the channel before, compilations of funny comments. I love this face. He roasted a PlayStation fantard on Twitter, and I guess we're going to spend the next 10 or so minutes hearing about it. Well, I want to hear about it, Josh. Let's hear it.
Guys, I did it. I fucking body Nib so hard on Twitter, he crashed out, blocked me, and accused me of being a PDF. So stick around, you're not going to want to miss this one. This is...
Why do they always jump to the well, you're a PDF allegations? Because they did that to Bruvian too. If pretty sure we featured Sir Brevian on the channel before. But PlayStation fan, his wife bought him an Xbox because they were afraid that because she was afraid that he would miss out on a new Elder Scrolls game with Bethesda being bought out by Microsoft, even though that would make less than zero fucking sense because Fallout and Elder Scrolls are pretty much all multi-plat at this point, and Microsoft has been doing a multi-plat strategy for years. So, and then when he said, "Oh, I like my new Xbox," the PlayStation fantards came out and just called him everything but a child of Christ. One of them even called him a nonce, which is British slang for PDF. So it's always just, you're a PDF. I don't know why they specifically fly to that one. Then again, the PlayStation community is full of absolute fucking crazies. One of them has a habit of sending unsolicited photos of his Magic Mike to unsuspecting women.
Here's one for the history books. Okay, so let's lay down some groundwork and give some context to the situation, because once it picks up, things begin to spiral at a breakneck pace. So as we all know, Nib, you know, the PlayStation fanboy who uses ChatGPT to make his arguments for him and has comically sized tweets that feel like the opening fucking title crawl of a Star Wars film.
Except the opening title crawl of a Star Wars movie is compact compared to... Nib does not post comments on Twitter. He posts novellas. He posts novels. Ooh. 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 I don't know what just happened, but I just got a really... Oh. Oh, God. I'll be back. I need to get some aspirin. Oh, God. Ooh. Alright. Not gonna take pills on camera. That's not happening. Okay. Got some Tylenol in me. Okay. Okay. Nib does not write. Nib does not write comments. He writes full-blown novels. So.
Recently got fucking community noted on Twitter after tweeting about the Xbox Helix and being corrected by one of the devs at Xbox personally. And instead of correcting the record, he tried to argue with the dev at Xbox about how he's the one that's actually wrong and not Nib. Because Nib can never be wrong. His ego won't allow it. And after getting his ass stomped in the replies, he began crashing out about Xbox fans because they were mostly ripping him a new asshole.
Justifiably so. How are you gonna... Neb, how are you going to start a full-blown autistic argument with an Xbox dev and say the Xbox dev is wrong and you're right, period, point blank, no questions asked. Are you okay upstairs? I know I'm not okay upstairs. I've got this throbbing in the side of my head.
Alongside the PC community, because PlayStation fanboys want to beef with Xbox and PC because they have no games to play and would rather argue on Twitter. And we're all just coming for our pound of flesh.
Isn't that just insane? You have not just however, who knows, however many years of first-party PlayStation. You have plenty of third-party games on your PlayStation that you could be playing right now, and instead you just want to fight with a bunch of people on Twitter. How you are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
Because nothing unites gamers more than ripping PlayStation fanboys a new asshole on Twitter. So Nib gets the bright idea to call the Xbox fan base a cult, forgetting the fact that he collected like 30 screenshots of people buying a PlayStation 5 and decided to make a post so he could celebrate PlayStation's dominance, because he's a cringy little it. So first of all, right off the bat, Fratanga absolutely ratioed him, which just fucking mwah. You see, it's ironic that the guy that complains that people don't read his tweets can't read the fucking room, but I digress. Where was I? Oh yeah, the guy with fucking PlayStation buttons on his nipples wants to call Xbox fans a cult. Got it. This is the tweet that really started everything, and I responded to this tweet with an image of Nicola, Wooly Gamer, and MBG all molesting their PlayStation 5s, and just said, yes, it's a cult. Nib then tried desperately to ignore my tweet, but shoutouts to this person in this tweet for properly putting his balls to the grinder and forcing him to acknowledge the console-kissing elephant in the room, and forcing him to acknowledge my reply. Now, Nib does reply acknowledging that they are cringe, but then immediately tries to undermine that comment with a jab about me editing for...
Hold on.
Now, Nib...
That is indeed cringe, just like dressing up as a yellow banana, even if it is for a laugh. He's referring to, oh no, it's Alex, because Alex has a banana suit that he wears on his stream. Not sure what that has to do with anything under the sun, but as I've said before, I won't condemn someone enjoying hardware or games as much as I will people worshiping a CEO. You repeatedly shit on Xbox players just for being Xbox players. So don't even try that, Nib. Say, well, people worshipping a CEO and comparing them to Jesus or their queen. One's appreciating something giving them joy and entertainment, the other wealthy CEO or suit. Like, I've never made a tweet about this either. It is what it is. Nib, you are... Not only are you an absolute moron, you're also a hypocrite.
And an Xbox whataboutism, which I completely ignored because I don't give a fuck about Xbox. This is about making fun of PlayStation fanboys because they're more obnoxious. There's more of them. So the moment he acknowledged they were cringe, I was all like,
motherfucker said ice cream.
Well, I guess at this point, Nib saw where I had tweeted out the clip of Alex making fun of him for getting community noted on Twitter and tried arguing his points all over again, ignoring the fact that he was already fucking community noted.
Stop! I did speak to him last night. Stop! You told me the whole story. It sounded like that started too. Stop!
Stop! Until Xbox confirms it. Bitch! Yet that hasn't stopped you from rolling with the Jason Schreier rumors about PC ports, nor has it stopped you from damage controlling about PlayStation's new DRM. Like, dude, you are just a fucking console fanboy. Like, dude, you are just another fucking PlayStation fanboy with access to a thesaurus and ChatGPT. Who the fuck are you? You're a fucking nobody. Like, you're some fucking big journalist or some shit. Like, dude, you're just a goddamn dense little brick
Yeah, sure, Nib is a journalist. Nib is to journalism what Bill Cosby is to bartending.
Who refuses to take an L to save his life. And this is where Nib began to officially crash out. Now, somewhere along this point, everyone's favorite cum drinker, Kieran, joined the chat and accused me of being a PDF over posting a wood meme on a Miranda Cosgrove picture or some shit that later got community noted. This is the most disingenuous some shit.
Hold on.
That
This is a digitally altered image. The body does not belong to the face, as evidenced by the lighting and unnatural lines on the arm, so it's a deepfake. Furthermore, Miranda Cosgrove was 14 when iCarly premiered in 2008, so this photo is likely sexualizing a minor. Ooh.
Later got community noted? This is the most disingenuous shit I've ever seen in my goddamn life. It was at this point that Nib knew he was losing the argument and decided to double down alongside Kieran and accuse me of being a PDF. Because when in doubt, just accuse the person you're arguing with of being a pedo. You know, the worst thing you could accuse somebody of, like life ruination type shit. Yeah, just go there because you're losing an argument about a console, dude. You disingenuous little fuckboy. And completely ignoring the fact that he's friends with Blurkle, who's an actual cyber stalker and a doxer who posts images of actual underage children, not some digitally altered shit, actual children. I mean, that he has no issue with because he also likes the fact that Blurkle sucks off Sony. These console fanboys are so disingenuous, dude, it fucking drives me nuts.
Oh my god. Why? Why? Just... You'll ignore that. You'll ignore something that is actually genuinely problematic, something that is actually genuinely concerning, just because he likes the same console as you.
I need some alone time so I can think about my past and some of the poor choices I've made. And so you can cough in there. Yeah, maybe cough in here too.
Absolute fucking hypocrite. So the next day when I'm taking a morning shit and checking replies after shoving my dick down Nib's throat, I noticed Nib had blocked me. So I make an additional post. And bam! This fucking pathetic piece of shit unblocks me, drops a massive list of reasons as to why he blocked me, to try and save face and not look like a complete and total utter pussy. So let's read off his list of reasons to block me, shall we?
I blocked you for the following reasons if you're interested, although you admit you don't read longer tweets.
Josh! He used TTS! You know what? It's actually kind of fitting. Use the AI TTS for the AI chatbot masquerading as a Twitter account.
Oh well, one, you had numerous tweets about me in short succession, which gave me cyberstalker vibes.
Oh, shut the fuck up! Lolcow complains he gets mocked online after retard maxing. In other news, water wet. Also, sharing clips from Alex's Clips channel doesn't fucking count. Don't flatter yourself. I often post clips from the Clips channel when they go up on the channel. You're just content. I'm sorry you said something fucking stupid.
Not my problem.
Point 1 dismissed.
2, you'd already admitted you don't read my tweets, which let me know.
Let me just stop you right there, because I know where this is going. This goes back to my point about sending shit like this and expecting a fucking response to all of your points. Twitter has a character limit, asshole. You have all us people who refuse to pay for Twitter Blue at a huge disadvantage. So why would I even bother reading past the first few sentences when that's all I can reply to? You dumbass dildo. bro. Point 2 dismissed.
3. This was further highlighted when twice I asked you if Jason Ronald had confirmed if Helix's chip would be used by third parties or not, like Kepler stated. You refused to answer despite tweeting back to other tweets. This again highlighted how you likely knew he hadn't and therefore knew that Kepler's rumor or my tweet hadn't been debunked yet, but again, didn't care about truth, only deceitful vilification.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Motherfucker, you're supposed to be the one dealing in facts. You remember that part? And here you are going off pure fucking speculation and feelings. Fuck out of here with your rumors, fact man. Point 3 dismissed.
4. I remembered your debate with Paula Tarok and how mind-numbingly ignorant and stupid you were and sounded, and thought, why am I wasting my time with a guy who is clearly of extremely low intellect and knowledge?
Oh my god, this Porter Rock debate shit again, dude. You mean the debate where I was completely fucking smashed and barely even remember being there? Shit, you guys remember it better than I do. I'm not holding myself accountable to what I said while intoxicated. Point 4 dismissed.
5. You keep insisting I use ChatGPT or AI when I never have, which is not only further disinformation from you, but again highlights how mentally limited you are, as you can't fathom humans can talk and type like me without AI assistance. 6 moments later you implied I prefer to tweet over gaming, even though I play countless games every year and share my year in reviews, GOTY lists, reviews, media etc. I asked you what your 2025 GOTY list was, and despite still tweeting, once again you didn't respond, which to me felt like you were again hiding from accountability.
Bro's just mad my shit talk game is god tier. Point 6 dismissed.
7. Another user reminded me that you'd made a lewd comment about an underage 14-year-old actress, albeit photo manipulated, which was the cherry on top of your mountain of shit.
Ah yes, the cyber stalker who posted this image, and that's all you needed. Weird you want to complain about not reading tweets, but you can't read the fucking community note. The note says the show started when she was 14, not that she was 14. This is a cop-out and a bullshit excuse just to call me a PDF because you lost an argument. Which I'll remind everyone, he called Alex a PDF also with less evidence. So this is just in his nature. Once is a fuck up, 2 is a track pattern. Poor Nibbles is just mad a 90-pound lesbian got the best of him on Twitter and had him crashing out. That's all.
Bro, what? What?
Everyone, he called Alex a PDF also with less evidence. So this is just in his nature. Once is a fuck up, 2 is a track pattern. Poor Nibbles is just mad a 90-pound lesbian got the best of him on Twitter and had him crashing out. That's all.
Bro.
Emotional, damn it, 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 emotional, damn it,
Dude. 90-pound lesbian.
That's all it is. He can't take the L. And he knows he can't beat me. You know why you can't beat me, Nib? Because I dominate.
I absolutely dominate. I dominate daily on a daily basis. I use a combination of lies, manipulation, cheating, stealing, gaslighting, bullying, insulting, and flexing.
All right, everyone, get fucked.
Bro.
Do you ever see something?
Alright. Now, let us now hit up Joe from Seattle, who has a brand new, who's making his debut on the channel in the stream, and now has a, well, this video is entitled, actually let me scroll down so I get it right. GTA 6 is not made for gamers, and that's going to destroy the gaming industry. Sorry if I keep rubbing the side of my head.
Do you ever see something that's just the most games industry thing of all time? because I think I just saw the #1 most games industry thing of all time yesterday. And it's something that I think also perfectly sums up why I and so many other people are completely indifferent to games like GTA 6 and basically everything Rockstar puts their name on these days. Like, this company does not make games for gamers anymore. They make games for people who go to Fast and Furious movies. They make games for people outside the games industry.
Hey, what's wrong with Fast and Furious movies? Apart from the fact that they are, admittedly, 100% uncut retardation.
Who want to feel like they're part of the big cool thing. And because Rockstar has so perfectly angled their business model and their target audience to be as broad as humanly possible, it means they make absolute buku bucks off everything they do. But because they make absolute buku bucks off everything they do, now we have an entire legion of AAA studios and publishers that are trying to do what Rockstar does. They put an infinite amount of money into these games while trying to appeal to an infinite number of people who aren't actually gamers, and then when all of the big money is going towards things that aren't actually made for gamers, what we have is a AAA industry that seems completely out of whack with the people who built it, the people who were there from the start. So a report came out yesterday, I'm sure some of you saw it, and my god does this report speak to the state of the games industry, the absolute state. The absolute ass. So according to Bank of America, yeah, Bank of America is now weighing in on GTA 6 just to really hammer home that this game is...
We think it's in Take-Two's self-interest as a publisher and partner to many developers to raise the price point for the entire industry. Absolutely not. Absolutely unequivocally not.
Absolutely not being made for the people who built the games industry. But according to Bank of America, quote, "We think it's in Take-Two's self-interest as a publisher and partner to many developers to raise the price point for the entire industry. We think it is in Take-Two's self-interest to raise the price point for the entire industry. And what's better yet, the video game industry would have difficulty selling games for $80 if GTA only costs $70. So, we're just saying the quiet part out loud now. The games industry actively wants to go to 80. The only reason they haven't gone to 80 yet is because they tried it and everybody rejected it, and even though the consumers rejected it, the corpos are still openly talking about how much they want to do it. And here's the quote in its entirety, in case you think this is being, blown out of proportion or taken out of context. It's not. It's not. It's exactly what was said. But there is just so much wrong with this story. For starters, the fact that Bank of America is even in the discussion. Like, yeah, man, when I want great insight on the games industry, I go to fucking Wells Fargo. If I want insight as to how the culinary industry is working, I hit up my boy at Toyota. He knows what he's talking about because he was in the room once with the sandwich. So that's number one. The fact that Bank of America is even being asked, is even being quoted, the fact that Bank of America is talking about GTA 6 and anyone is paying them any attention, that's problem number one. That's just indicative of the simple fact that the biggest game of all time, what is surely going to be the biggest video game of all time, is very, very explicitly not being made for you. And that is going to do some insane damage to the industry. You think GTA and Rockstar have a bad influence on the industry now? Just wait till after this thing comes out. It's gonna be fucking mind's eyes as far as the eye can see. Like, that's just what's going to happen. Everything...
Oh, Mind's Eye. Oh, when I haven't played Mind's Eye, but I did hear about what an unmitigated disaster piece it was, and oh my god, dude. I was actually looking forward to playing that game before I found out, before it came out and we all discovered what a train wreck it is.
Thing must be GTA at all times. If your game is not enough like GTA, it needs to be more like GTA, or else it will not get widespread industry coverage. That's just what's going to happen. The number two big problem I have with this report is the fact that this is a consumer industry. God willing, the games industry is still driven by consumers. That's why the $80 games didn't work in the first place. And it's not perfect. I still don't think we should have gone to $70. I think you'll be hard pressed to find a single gamer who thinks that the games industry has
has at all improved by things going to $70 from $60. And everyone also knows that the justification for $70 being, budgets are too high. We have to raise the price of games to $70 because budgets are too high. That is entirely of your own making, though. No one's making you jack up the production costs of your game. And
nobody is, well, okay. That's not entirely true, Joe, because the industry, the AAA industry at least, is run by Wall Street brokers and stockholders, people who do not play video games, and they look down on video games. They see video games as less than. They think that video games should be more like movies. So, which is why so many games right now are so hell-bent on pursuing photorealistic graphics, because they're trying to make them more cinematic and more movie-like. When you try to make games more movie-like, you end up losing what makes them games.
like I said, no actual gamer will tell you that the increase of production costs has actually benefited them in any way. All it's done is led to buggier games with simpler gameplay and simpler, less diverse art styles, because everything needs to look the same. And if everything is looking hyper-realistic, well, that means we can't get extravagant with our presentation, which means gameplay has to get simpler. And oops, we spent too much money on this game, we need to maximize the profit, which means we need to maximize the amount of people it can be for, which means the gameplay, again, just gets simpler. Stories and characters get less interesting. Things get more cookie-cutter and formulaic, because when you're putting so much time into developing these pretty graphics and these super easy to understand gameplay concepts for the largest possible audience, well, that means you can't focus on anything. So that's another way things just get simpler. The drastic increase of money to the games industry has led to so many wrong lessons being learned. And
yeah, the again, the MCU effect.
So many horrible directions being taken. And there's been solid pushback on a lot of these things. $80 games didn't stick. The live service everything didn't stick. But there's always been this sense that the industry still wants to do these things. These things were rejected, but there's always been the sense that the industry, given the opportunity, would shove them right back in. And that is precisely the attitude that is on display here. Because read this again. If GTA 6 comes out for $70, well, it's just going to be really hard for the industry to sell games at $80 then. Never mind the fact that $80 games is something that was already tried and already...
Alright, guys, I gotta make a quick run to the bathroom. So I'm gonna put some music on. While, hold on, let me find something that'll go long enough. Come on, you can find something that's long enough. There we go. I'll be right back. I apologize for that interruption, folks. Call of nature, and that, and you know, being a bit of a hypochondriac. Headache. Hopefully the Tylenol will be kicking in soon. But enough of that. Let's get back to Joe.
Sell games at $80 then. Never mind the fact that $80 games is something that was already tried and already rejected. That's not what matters. What matters is that $80 must be standardized. And if the biggest game in history doesn't take the opportunity to standardize this, well, think of the poor publishers, you know? Think of the poor...
Yeah, the poor publishers that will... that dangle the future of their devs over your faces. Like, come on, guys, support the devs. Buy your games day one. Pre-order bonus. Buy. And then, come holiday season, they just lay off all of their developers anyway, and then rehire them immediately after the holiday season. So it doesn't really. So all your patronage doesn't even matter. Yeah, one of the reasons that I don't really buy new games that much.
AAA industry. If GTA 6 doesn't set the standard, then we can't do it. But you shouldn't be doing it. You already tried to do it, and we shoved that shit right back in your shithole. And this is why I hate GTA 6 already. This is why I can't stand modern Rockstar. Like, they're basically just a more fondly looked upon version of Epic Games at this point. They don't make games, they just make vessels for industry trends. And you know exactly what I mean. That's why GTA 6 is not being sold on its gameplay. We haven't even seen a single second of GTA 6 gameplay, and yet people are already creaming themselves over it. And now here we are in a situation, and I never thought it would get...
My opinion, GTA peaked with Vice City. I said what I said.
This blatant. I can't think of another industry where the undisputed spotlight holder, like the example of the industry that undoubtedly has the most attention. For the games industry, it would be Rockstar and GTA 6. I cannot think of another industry where the most recognizable representative is so blatantly not marketing itself to the people who made the industry that it's in. I just get this overwhelming feeling that, like, if you are someone who considers themselves a gamer, someone who really enjoys video games, the biggest game in the history of the industry, GTA 6, is just not for you. And I worry about what that's going to do to the industry. The AAA industry, for all the reasons that I've talked about already, the AAA industry has already lost its way so substantially. But it's just getting worse. And I truly worry about where this is going to go. Not that anything here is unfixable. I mean, that's the beauty of the indie and AA markets. And there are still plenty of AAA developers who operate mostly outside of the big money trends. Companies like id Software and From Software and Capcom. But I guess my point is, from a big picture perspective,
is FromSoft a AAA dev? I don't know. I don't know how much their games cost to produce. But I would assume it's not an equal amount to the average AAA title. Unless it's like on the lower tier end of the AAA budgets.
How much development talent is going to be absolutely wasted by this industry in the pursuit of the next GTA 6? How many developers are going to be swallowed up by these companies that just want to make another GTA 6? These companies that unironically listen to Bank of fucking America. There's going to be an entire generation of game devs who don't get to do, like, anything with their talents because they're going to get stuck with companies like this. That's why it frustrates me. Listen, best case scenario, like best case scenario here is that GTA 6 comes out and somehow against all fucking odds is an actual, like, in-depth, really detailed gameplay focused experience that really pushes what can be done with video games from a gameplay and storytelling perspective and how those things intersect with each other. That's like best case scenario. It's not most likely scenario. Most likely scenario is that this game is entirely graphically driven, entirely cinematically driven, and has the same fucking GTA gameplay as always, but slightly dumbed down, so that way it can run without setting your console on fire and be understood by everybody who would ever pick up a controller to try it. And with the amount of money this game is going to make off of people who are not the core gaming audience, it's going to kick off an entire generation of imitators, and that is going to set things back so goddamn far. Again, I don't fear for the AAA industry. I fear for the talent it's going to waste while it figures its shit out. I have no sympathy for these executives who are going to destroy themselves and waste millions of dollars. I have no sympathy for them. But I do have sympathy for the young game devs who are going to come up, who are going to be hunting for a job in the industry, who are going to sign on with these companies for a solid paycheck, and who are inevitably going to be stuck just pumping out GTA clone drivel because Bank of fucking America told some executives that that was the right thing to do. It's just fucking depressing. Who the fuck gave Bank of America a platform for the games industry? Go fuck yourself, doofus clip time.
Oh my lord. You know, that actually is a valid question. Who decided Bank of America needed a say in the world, in the realm of video games? Who?
Wannabe Hobo, Grimsy, Rose, Blade, Mechanical Resonance, Jake Spider Monkey 1994, hashtag Bill Joe Baggins, Bo Lancaster, Blast 1314, Jimmy Chops, Moist Man in the Panel, Van QB, Nate, Oracle, Drift Bandit, Max Kill V2 Gaming, Snake Rider, Muskie, Biogenesis, Cloaked Onyx, Pillow and Bowler, Hibiscus 1101, Backyard Baseball is a baseball game, Blue Hook, Joe Gonna Give It To You, Parchment 8, Jack Candy, Backyard Baseball's Hot Garage, Joe, Platypus Hitson, Henthai, Bill 310, Char, Avatar Steven is the Chosen Earthbender, Disketti, Game with Dead People, 12, Glamour 12, 7YT, Chris Void, Floppy Pinks 97, Hyperactive Turtle, Grimsy, fucking cards, Official Dragon, I got a Harpeggi for Garpside, Anthem, Man, Satsuna, Western Frax, Science, Slick, Click, Flicks, the Blu-ray Disc, Delta 169, Baron Von Bonahom, Unicorn Rocco, AI Slot, Makes Microsoft, Kush Good, Doug, Nixie Smile, Dirty Mike of the Boys, 13 dozen eggs, oh my god, it's a hard nut life, Joe Weisgard, trying to sausage stuff the horse, Vector, Dada Achi, Sick Nick, Mad Fox 94, XJ Induction, Broken Crayon, Purple Robin Dragon, got PS5 underwear so I can enjoy shitting my pants. Vast Dennis, Club of Penguin, JoJo 6, Volt Theme, Master Killer Tom, Unknown 186718, Charlie the Unicorn from Candy Mountain Cave, Ed Shadow Bear 1789, Benefon DT Train, Disket Day, and on Vola, High Vol, so just Snake Eyes 327, MK2D96E, X Mark Gamma, Fire has 105, Tank Game, and Slim Jim, Lord Bows the Second, Joe Last Us, The Moke, Gale Cool, Dotties, and BC Gamer, Just Shepard, Because Power, Because Abby, Flippity Floppity, Joe's in my property, Crew of the Steel Angel, Path Racing better than PS5 Pro, Ray Tracing with Pissers, Cyrus 6771, Jackson 940, Ziggity Creed, Warrior 23, Max and Chev, Chap, Totally Insane. Joe, why are there pictures of Gara naked on your PC? Night of Cypher, Mill 04, Wolf of the Night, EKW, Steve Studios, Film, Kraken, Gaming, Treat, Brown Thorn, Save, Mag, X, 7, MS, Mr. Smiley 03, Six Kind Lane for Wymer's, Pow Pow, Donnie Weston, God Content, Rogue Wave, 919, Zach Thing, Payment for Hire, Ellen Noble, Frost Crystal, Sophie Skull, Ghost Ho, Ryusagi, Dr. Tam, Almost 94, One of Out, Face the Win, Wake It Out, Mr. Techno Squeak, Jody Peters, Smitty, McAdvertisement, Dio Garcia, Begins, I American Idiot, I don't know, it's Justin, Rain, Rui, Two Wayne, Wolf 7, Retro, West Side, Dylan, Caesar, Young's Veg, Group, and Colonel, Zach, Saul Hathan, insert shameless plug. That one was better. That one was better than the last one. The last one sucked ass. Not to be vulgar, but it sucked ass. Okay, toodles.
So the
all right. Oh. Yeah, some of those channel member names, for those of you that don't know, Joe's channel members and oh no, it's Alex's channel members have the same thing, where they have a meme where they will just come up with the most random, out-of-pocket things to call themselves as as channel members, and it's actually kind of hilarious to me. I kind of dig it. Anyway, all right. I know I said if we had enough time, we would probably get to the new Gara video. I don't think we are going to, just because Cody's video here is about 31 minutes long. Holy crap, Cody. Pretty sure I paused it on a cum face. But this video, I assume, is being made in response to people complaining about the trailer for Zach Kreger's Resident Evil not featuring any of the fan favorite characters, it looking like a movie that honestly could kind of exist in its own realm, in its own disconnected from the main canon way. I am personally optimistic about it as a horror movie. I think I think it'll be fine as a standalone movie. Whether or not it ends up being a Resident Evil movie is a topic for another day, which the movie doesn't come out for another 4.5 months, so we'll just have to wait and see about that. Anyway, Cody Leach, Resident Evil fans don't understand Resident Evil. Let's go.
So the teaser trailer for Zach Cregger's Resident Evil film dropped a few days ago, and Resident Evil fans have spoken. This is a completely unfaithful adaptation of the video games. And as a fellow Resident Evil fan, I'm here to join the fight and tell you that every single one of the things that they're taking issue with makes 100% sense. If you've never actually played the games.
Oh! Ooh! I mean, where's the lie? Bro. How many people claim to be Resident Evil fans who don't actually play Resident Evil games? They just watch a bunch of Leon aura farming edits on TikTok and then call it a day. Honestly, it's kind of become a meme at this point that Resident Evil fans don't actually play Resident Evil.
What is going on, guys? Well, about 4 or 5 days ago, we got our first official look at Zach Cregger's upcoming Resident Evil film with a teaser trailer. I did a reaction for it, a rare thing that I do on this channel, but seemingly have done quite a few over the last couple of weeks saying that. And it has immediately caused the discourse that I knew was going to be coming, but am still completely blown away and frustrated by. People that are huge Zach Cregger fans seemingly loving the trailer and really taking shots at hardcore Resident Evil fans that don't share that enthusiasm, and then of course the opposite side of that coin, which are Resident Evil video game fans that absolutely hate everything that they know and are seeing about this upcoming film adaptation. And yep.
Yeah, so basically you have two extremes of the you have two sides of the same autistic coin here. Now, here's my take on Resident Evil in live action, and this will eventually drift into the trailer for Zach Cregger's movie. So, for those of you who might not know my opinion on Resident Evil in live action, which I've made my opinions very clear over the years, but there are always new subs coming in. Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil movies were just a repository for every wouldn't it be cool if idea he could yoink out of his sphincter muscle. They were just action movies with a horror slant, and if I wanted that, I would go watch Underworld or Blade. Welcome to Raccoon City, while it has its laundry list of flaws, is at the very least an attempt at capturing the. It at least tries to feel like Resident Evil, more so than the Anderson films did. Drop on for a minute, only to see that first comment. I needed that laugh. That was definitely a comment, Kaysen. But yeah, so welcome to Raccoon City. It has its flaws, but it's much more of a Resident Evil movie than the Anderson movies, which I noped out of the live-action Netflix series after 2 episodes, and after watching John Wolfe's review of it, I pretty much am glad that I made that decision. I have never seen Barbarian and Weapons, so Zach Cregger is just another director to me. This new movie at least looks like it'll be a decent horror movie. Whether or not it ends up being a decent Resident Evil movie remains to be seen, because Resident Evil isn't just zombies and specific locations and specific characters. Resident Evil is three things all thrown into a blender. You have John Carpenter's atmosphere, you have David Cronenberg's body horror, and you have Sam Raimi's campiness. So, pretty much any Carpenter horror movie mixed with, like, Cronenberg's remake of The Fly, mixed with the campiness of the early Evil Dead films. That is, those three ingredients in a blender is Resident Evil in a nutshot. What's the next movie discussion? Can't be Mortal Kombat, because not seeing Mortal Kombat 2 till Saturday. Kaysen, do you have a copy of the... No, Kaysen, Nutshot is what I meant. Nutshot is what I meant to say. Kaysen, do you have a copy of the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie? Because I do. I do. We could do that one. You can watch it on HBO Max. Hey, that works, brother. I've got the Blu-ray for it. So if you want to do that one on Friday, we can do that. I know originally we were going to do Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, but that one's a more obscure title. That might be better for a bottom of the bin episode, honestly. The more that I think about it. You're a streaming sucker. Well, honestly, the only streamer I'm using anymore lately is Tubi, just because it's free. In fact, I actually used Tubi today to watch the anime Blue Submarine number 6. Oh. So yeah, if you want to do the 90, if you want, why not? Because since Mortal Kombat 2 is coming out this weekend, we could do the 95 movie. Yeah. Check out Ninja Turtles Next Mutation. I will. At some point, there's a lot that I need to check out. Anyways, I am at the very least, when I go in to see Kreger's Resident Evil, I am at the very least expecting it to be a decent standalone horror movie. Whether or not it ends up being a good adaptation of Resident Evil, it is going to be a completely different story, but let's get back to it.
Yet again, I find myself in the middle as both a Resident Evil fan and a Zach Kreger fan going, guys, what the fuck? Now, to set the stage for those of you that might be watching this video that have no idea who I am, have no idea what kind of a Resident Evil fan I am, I have loved this franchise ever since the first time that I played Resident Evil 4 back in, 2004, 2005.
It seems there's a lot of people who come into this franchise either through RE4 or RE2. Whether it's the 1998 version of RE2, the 2005 version of RE4, or the remakes themselves. Sad part is, there's probably people on the internet who probably have a crush on the female turtle. Ugh. Whoa. Anyways, I know that is definitely how I came into the franchise, was through my gateway to Resident Evil was the N64 port of RE2, and I got that in 2005 as an Easter present from my dad. And then I played 4, and then I played the GameCube and then I played 0 in the GameCube remake of RE1. So the show literally only exists so Fox Kids could have a Power Rangers crossover with Ninja Turtles, which honestly sounds kind of badass. Not gonna lie, Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers in a crossover together sounds kind of bad. Sounds pretty boss. But so yeah, I've played more Resident Evil than I care to remember. In fact, in my downtime, I've actually been replaying RE6. So
I've been a huge fanatic of the franchise ever since. I've played pretty much all the games, save for some of the offshoots like Survivor and Dead Aim and things like that. But all the mainline games I've played numerous.
I actually have played Survivor. I have 2 playthroughs of Survivor on the channel. And I have a whole playlist of Resident Evil playthroughs, if you want to go check that out. Show flopped harder than you know. Bro.
Times, completed them numerous times. You know, I'm one of those people that I don't just consider myself a Resident Evil fan, I consider myself a Resident Evil whore. And with that being said, I have seen every single one of the Resident Evil film adaptations, many of them in theaters, and at best, I would say the ones that I do like are certainly guilty pleasures. I have a good time with the first 3, maybe even on a good day, the first 4 of the Paul W.S. Anderson films. They are not faithful at all, but they're still guilty pleasure, fun, little action horror films. I think the second one's actually pretty damn solid of the bunch. And then, despite the fact that...
Yeah, up until the moment Alice starts stealing all of the thunder from Jill Valentine. Oh, unless we forget the absolute slop job that was the editing on Alice's little hand-to-hand with Nemesis. That was a choice that I wouldn't have gone with.
My admiration of it has decreased significantly since release. I actually enjoyed Welcome to Raccoon City. I thought that they did a lot of cool things in there. It's a shame they tried to do 2 movies and 2 stories at once, and that's...
I feel like Welcome to Raccoon City probably would have benefited from an extra $30 million, $35 million added to the budget, and about an extra 30 to 40 minutes added to the runtime, just because of the scope of the story they were trying to tell and the amount of characters that were in that movie, with how much time would have been needed to really further flesh them out. I feel like 107 minutes was just way too short for that volume of characters.
That's what kind of fucked them. But a lot of the things that they were going for, I was like, okay, I wish you could do more of that and do it a little bit better because you're on the right track. Haven't seen any of the animated movies. I've heard they're pretty good and very...
Okay. They probably would have used remake Nemesis in live action. I do... You know what? I agree with you. They probably would have. Honestly, and I passed over the CG movies because I was just speaking strictly live action. Used remake liquors. Yeah. Yes, they did. The CGI movies and the CG Netflix series Infinite Darkness, in my opinion, they're fine as like lore extensions, but when you get right down to it, they're pretty much the director playing with his Resident Evil action figures, and for some reason, he really likes Leon. Leon is probably his favorite action figure to play with. Like, in my opinion, the CGI movies should have been the Anderson films. Yes, gave them Predator vision, gave the Nemesis Terminator vision, and it's like, you're right, movie, I should be watching the Terminator and Predator right now. I feel like the way that I feel like Leon just exists to steamroll. In the CG movies, he exists just to steamroll over all the other characters. Like, Degeneration should have been exclusively Claire's story. Damnation, Leon, and Ada being in there, okay, fine. Vendetta should have been Chris and Rebecca's story exclusively. Death Island should have been Jill Valentine's story exclusively. That's just kind of how I feel about it. Ironically, all have crossed over into Call of Duty. That is true. That is very true. I feel like... By the way, Kason, I don't know if you saw, but there is a Death Island manga, and it's supposed to be getting a US release soon. I don't remember how soon it's supposed to be releasing over here in the States, but there is a manga. There is a manga of Resident Evil Death Island, and hopefully it'll flesh the story out better, and it'll give more breathing room for the characters. and especially give more time for Jill, because I feel like that should have been primarily Jill's movie instead of just getting all of the main instead of getting like all of these characters together to just have an Avengers Assemble showdown for the climax. And even then, like not even use Rebecca and Claire really for the main boss battle. I mean, Death Island's cool, but at the same time, when I play a Resident Evil game, I'm not thinking about, hey, I don't want to just be like, I don't want a bunch of, hey, that's cool moments. I want Resident Evil.
Varying degrees, and I was not at all a fan of the Netflix Resident Evil show, although I was somebody that thought the casting of Lance Reddick was damn near perfect for Wesker. God rest.
Still need to discuss the animated films. We gotta go. Try to be back, and if not, we'll hit you up on... Oh, that's alright, Kason. You go chill out. I'll catch you later.
Rest his soul. So, I'm right there along with many, if not most, Resident Evil fans in really thinking that we have never really gotten the live adaptation, whether that is movie or TV adaptation, that this franchise absolutely deserves. Now, with all that being said, the moment that they announced that Zach Kreger was going to be the writer and director who was going to be taking up the newest attempt at adapting Resident Evil to the big screens, that is the first time, maybe ever, that I have heard news that I went, oh, fuck yes, that is a perfect choice. Now, granted, that's because I really enjoy his films. Barbarian and Weapons were both in my top 5, maybe even top 3 of the year in the years that they were released. I really dig what this guy does. His style, his writing, his brand of horror and humor and everything, it just works for me. And so even before they announced him, if somebody had asked me, Cody, who is a up-and-coming rising horror filmmaker that you would be like, that'd be like your fan casting for the filmmaker to re-adapt Resident Evil for the big screen? I would have said Zach Kreger. And even with that huge amount of excitement that his name would bring to this, I was right there with most Resident Evil fans in immediately getting frustrated, confused, and very guarded whenever Zach Kreger's first statements about this movie came out and was describing it as a totally original story and character that was not going to be adapting any of the video games. Because we have heard that song and dance so many times, and 99 times out of 100, it has amounted to a shit movie. But the more that I hear him talk, the more that...
The hell? Duke! Duke! I don't know why he is yelling at the neighbors. I don't know why he ever yells at the neighbors. It's a good thing I am not Hassan. Excuse me. Duke! Zep. Anyways. The thing that a lot of Resident Evil fans really gloss over, or really just ignore, is the fact that Resident Evil's lore is so expansive, its mythology is so complex, that it's one of the few franchise video games I can think of where you can do a totally original story, disconnected from main canon, and it would still turn out fine if it at least invokes what it feels like to be playing a Resident Evil game, just in cinematic form. And honestly, as much as I personally would, like, if it were my call, I would just be adapting RE0, because it's like, oh, this is the start of the chronology. This is where our first movie is going to be, and then just and there. That that's kind of how I would do it. But even then, like, not everybody feels that way, and not everybody wants a 5 to 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 hour video game condensed into a 90 minutes, 2 hour experience. And that's completely understandable. So it's like, it's kind of a thing where neither side is wrong, and both sides are just not very good at articulating that.
That I hear him explain where he is going and where his head is at as far as adapting the experience of these video games, and hearing him talk more about his love for these games has only given me more faith in what he is doing and become less apprehensive about the fact that he's doing his own original story. But I do want to start off this video with throwing those very frustrated and apprehensive and very pessimistic fans a bone, because I actually do think there are some pretty legit and understandable reasons for Resident Evil video game fans to be very apprehensive about this movie. The first one's the easy one, and it's just fatigue and distrust. If you are somebody that has watched all of the Resident Evil adaptations that we have gotten so far, and even more so extrapolated if you've watched just all the other video game properties that have been adapted, which the overwhelming majority have been done very poorly, it stands to reason why you would not have a whole lot of trust or faith in Hollywood doing it right when they so often get it so wrong. As much as it is easy to say that Resident Evil fans will never be happy with anything, or there's no version of a movie or a film or TV adaptation that would make the whole fan base happy, there's maybe an air of truth to that, but I actually think there is something that would make the lion's share of the fan base happy, and that is if they did a TV adaptation on Netflix or Amazon or whoever currently has the rights to it or could get the rights to it, and have an 8 to 10 episode season that is just based off of the Spencer Mansion events of the first game. And then season 2 would be Raccoon City, maybe an extended season, and they do 2 and 3 at the same time, or you can split them up, and then eventually building to 4 and 5 and all that. I actually think if they gave it the budget and the time and the care of something like The Last of Us Season 1, or even like Fallout that seems to be a big fan favorite, you could do a very successful, very awesome, and a very fan-accepted adaptation of this material. But
the problem with that line of thinking is that the Spencer Mansion is that RE1 and RE2 together are... RE1 between Jill and Chris is about a 6-hour game. RE2 between Leon and Claire is about a 5.5, 6 hour game. And I'm talking exclusively about the originals, obviously. Resident Evil 3 is a 3 to 4 hour game. Code Veronica about a 4, 5, 6 hour game. That would lead to a lot of drawn out. The thing I would want to do is try to do Resident Evil try to do these games as 130 to 160 minute long slow burn descents. But that's the Resident Evil movie I've always wanted, is a movie that is like 130 minutes to 150, 160. A movie that is not afraid to really take its time and really let the horror atmosphere build and build and build and build, like stretching, like constantly stretching a rubber band until eventually you reach the point where the rubber band just snaps. Like that's Resident Evil.
clearly that is not the direction they're going, at least not yet. And so do I understand, do I sympathize with, and can totally put myself in the shoes of Resident Evil video game fans that hear another filmmaker saying that they're going to take Resident Evil and do their own thing with it, and just absolutely having no faith in that? I totally get it, because that was my first emotional reaction too. And it's only because I really enjoy and trust Zach Kreger that I'm willing to kind of get away from some of those initial emotions and be optimistic about this film. But I understand not everybody will be that way. Another reason why I understand some fans being a little bit wishy-washy or full-on pessimistic is that Zach Kreger's own statements have been a little bit confusing. For as much as there is a lot of things that he has said that I really enjoy, that gives me faith, that perks me up as a Resident Evil fan, because I can hear him talk and go, oh yeah, he's totally one of us. He's obviously played these games. There have been some things that he has said that do feel like Hollywood trying to convince us that this is faithful or it takes place in the thing that we love, when maybe it's a little looser than they're trying to let on. Like him saying that this takes place in the universe of the games. People hear that and they think, okay, so this is following directly in the timeline in the 90s with the Umbrella situation and the Raccoon City outbreak, and this is right there alongside the video game. Same characters, same timeline, everything. And then the next time he talks about it, he makes it very clear that it's not necessarily set during the exact timeline of the games, but it's kind of in its own universe that the games exist. Like, you get very confusing, you get very vague, and you start to step on your own words when you're trying to be as nondescript as he is, which I would imagine is to keep the secrets of this movie a secret and not let all of its coolest elements out before the fucking trailer's even out. And so it just goes back to distrust. It goes back to fans feeling like we have heard this before. We have heard filmmakers say, oh, I'm a massive fan of these games. And then you watch the movie and you're going, bitch, did you even play 5 minutes of this game? Because I don't get it. I don't think Zach Kreger is an example of that, but I get why people are defensive and are guarded and feel like maybe this is another one of those times. The final reason why I get why people would be apprehensive about this is that they're just simply not a Zach Kreger fan. They watched Barbarian, they watched Weapons, they really didn't like one of them or didn't like both of them. That I totally get. I mean, if you threw a director that I did not enjoy those films into Resident Evil, my first emotion is going to go, oh, fuck, why him? And for as much as it feels like his...
James Wan. If it was James Wan directing this, I would just be like, oh, fuck off, because I really don't like his style of horror, which is basically, well, if The Conjuring is anything to go off of, is basically just a 2-hour haunted house. That's how I categorize James Wan's. At least that's how I categorize the Conjuring movies and that whole Conjuring universe thing, which... Why... Horror movies alone should not spawn franchises, let alone spawn interconnected cinematic universe MCU style. Like, fuck off with that shit. Like, actually fuck off. Now, if you were to ask me who I think would be a good fit as a director for a modern Resident Evil movie, I would go to somebody like Adam Wingard, if you've ever seen The Guest, which The Guest is not a horror movie, but the way that he builds, the way that he just plays with everything, and the way he just builds and builds and builds, like, it's like a modern John Carpenter movie without being directed by John Carpenter. And You're Next, which is a slasher movie and a very balls to the wall, insane slasher movie. I feel like Adam Wingard would make a pretty boss Resident Evil movie. I feel like Jeremy Saulnier, if you've ever seen his stuff, Murder Party, which another absolute bonkers slasher movie, Blue Ruin, which was a fantastic, just absolutely beautiful slow burn revenge drama. Green Room, which if you haven't seen Green Room, get off the stream and go find it on any streaming service you've got and just absolutely watch it. Just watch Green Room. It's fucking amazing. But yeah, I feel like Adam Wingard or Jeremy Saulnier would absolutely crush it with a Resident Evil. Gareth Evans, who directed The Raid and Netflix's Apostle and Havoc, would probably make a pretty good... his Resident Evil movie would probably lean more into the side of like RE4 and 5, where it's more somewhat action-oriented, but it would still be, that really down and dirty, grimy horror. The Raid is pretty much a survival horror movie with fight scenes in it. So
movies have been like universally acclaimed because Barbarian was a huge hit, Weapons was a massive hit, won a fucking Oscar. There are people that did not like those movies, as with any hit film. And so those people, I get it. I totally understand that. All that I would say to push back on that is that it is extremely rare. In fact, I can't even think of another time, I'm sure somebody will let me know in the comments section, where we have gotten a writer and director who has succeeded to that caliber that decides to pivot and do a video game adaptation. Like, this is typically not a job that directors and filmmakers take because they're passionate about it. They take because it's either a really nice paycheck or because they just need a job. They want to work. They're a working director, not necessarily like a filmmaker, and there is a difference. Zach Kreger did not need to do...
Two of the very rarest of rare exceptions that I can think of to that would be like when Christoph Gans did Silent Hill and when Scott Wog did Need for Speed. Like, both of those movies were made by directors who really poured everything they could into making the best possible movies they could. And both Silent Hill and Need for Speed were just... They were perfect video game movies because of it.
Necessarily like a filmmaker, and there is a difference. Zach Kreger did not need to do Resident Evil. At this point, that guy can do whatever the fuck he wants, and
that is very true. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, he's just using Resident Evil because he can't get a movie made on his own. He's using the IP to just springboard his own bullshit off." And it's like, Barbarian and Weapons were both huge hits, and he's already got something else lined up after Resident Evil. So, clearly, he's not hurting for work. That, and he also has a thing where he absolutely will not do any movie that's not coming from him because he likes to write. He's a writer-director. And it like if you hear, like, I've seen comments from him where it's like his agents don't even send him scripts anymore because he wants to be a part of the writing process, and so it's got to be something that comes from him. Obviously, the guy is not hurting for work, and I don't believe that he's using Resident Evil as a springboard for his own bullshit. I don't. Yes, he has said that this is a movie he would be making if it was regardless of whether or not it was a Resident Evil. Regardless of whether or not it had the Resident Evil logo on the cover. That's kind of where I'm pausing, because Paul W.S. had the same thing. Like, his script for his RE1 was originally a script, not Resident Evil. It was a script that was loaded with elements from Resident Evil, and it was titled something else, and he did a rewrite and threw in enough iconography to pass it off as a Resident Evil movie. I mean, it has its own issues beyond that, but, Anderson did the same thing, and Zach Kreger has said, yeah, he would be doing this with or without the Resident Evil IP. So yeah, that alone does kind of give me a little bit of pause. Now, I know there's a bunch of people on Twitter who have been like autistically shrieking about a leaked script that hit the internet, and it's a script from like 2-3 years ago, and they're acting as if this 2-3-year-old script is somehow the finished product, the full finished movie that we're going to be seeing. Guys, considering the fact that scripts often undergo changes, like, some scenes do survive the script rewrites, but if you're looking at a script from 2-3 years ago and you assume the entire thing is what we're going to be getting in the final movie, like, completely blatantly ignoring the fact that scripts often do undergo rewrites, scenes do change, scene orders change, entire plot lines get replaced with something else. Like, and you're just using that as an excuse to be mad because it's not the game in movie form. I'm just going to assume that your parents were literally siblings, because that's the only way I can explain it.
Whatever studio is currently working with him will probably fund whatever he wants to do and not really interfere all that much. This is not like he was at a low point in his career and the studio was like, your last movie wasn't that big of a hit and we got this Resident Evil thing over here, so You want a nice little paycheck to come over here and do what we tell you to do? Very clearly, this was something that he was passionate about. This was something that he wanted to do. This was something that he was excited to do. Otherwise, it makes no sense why he would do this. It makes no sense why he would take a dive into a project that everybody almost universally is going to have skepticism and pessimism about. A video game adaptation, those always suck. And even more so, I think Zach is pretty aware and has said so himself that, you know, the fans might not be too happy with the direction that he's going. Why would he do that to himself? Why would he go through the stress and go through all of the frustration possibly that he's going to experience, even if this movie is great, of having a fan base that is not willing to go along for the ride with what he wants to do, and they just want a one-for-one adaptation or fuck off. We don't want anything. I mean, when you hear him describe what he's trying to bring to this film adaptation with the experience of playing these games, with being a character that is descending into this horrific situation, and you're slowly having to, like, armor up, and you're slowly having to manage your items and make sure that you don't use too much. And even having the things like the key and the zombie that he has to get the key off of, like all of these things, they might not translate one for one from the story or the characters that you recognize, but just from this teaser, it absolutely translates from the experience that I'm used to of playing these games. And for as many times as we have had people try to directly adapt storylines and characters from a video game, and realistically, going back to the original game, it's absolutely cheese-filled, it's dated as fuck. Even the remake from 2002 hangs on to some of those elements. I don't know how well that would translate to a movie in 2026. But if you can give a movie viewer the experience of what it's like to play a Resident Evil game, I don't think I've seen anybody try to do that yet. And if he can pull it off, I think that might be the preferable direction to go.
Honestly, there are some video game based movies that they don't go for like the exact plot line. They focus on translating the overall feel of the game, and it does work out in the movie's favor. Like the Sonic movies are a very good example of this. Those movies are that. You look at the way the set pieces are set up, you look at the chemistry between Sonic and Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, that you pretty much they have that feel of what makes the video games, and then Jim Carrey just being an absolute character as Robotnik.
Rather than having modern movie audiences say, why is this dude walking around in sunglasses inside? And what is this little frog monster here? And what is going on with these keys? And why does every 5 seconds this movie show a door opening? Again, things that make me a little bit more optimistic and have a little bit more faith in this than I normally would. This feels like a passion project by a genuine fan of these video games who is a filmmaker who, both in the writing and directing side of his job, has shown, at least for me and my taste, that he can provide excellence. Those are all things that I'm extremely excited to have attached to the name Resident Evil. Now, this movie might suck. This movie might end up being a terrible film. It might end up being an infuriating adaptation. And as much as I am the one on the mountaintop saying, come on, come along for the ride, we got good signs ahead. If this does give me that whenever I walk out of the theater, I will be the first and loudest voice saying this was bullshit, Resident Evil fans deserve better, when the fuck are we going to get it? But I gotta be honest.
Okay. Cody, how many subs do you have? 220,000. Okay. You know, I'm well aware that the Residents of Evil and Biohazard Declassified have put out Resident Evil fan films. I've seen them. I've seen Keeper's Diary, and I've seen Resurrection, a Biohazard story. I'm not impressed. I know Resident Evil fans like to pretend that they are peak. Even though, in my opinion, fan films are a little above the director just playing with his action figures. Personally, I would be more impressed if all you big channels took your love for Resident Evil and you translated it into a completely original short film or crowd-funded project that captures the feel of Resident Evil while being its own self-contained thing. Like, I'm currently in the process of writing my own treatment for something that may not be exactly Resident Evil, but it is Resident Evil. And I love how he brings up the cheesiness of the old games as a negative. That's part of the aesthetic. Like I said, the three key ingredients that make Resident Evil: the atmosphere, the body horror, and the cheesiness. Without the cheesiness, it's just another horror property. The campiness is what gives it just that much to where it doesn't take itself that seriously. It takes itself seriously enough, but it never goes into absolute, like, Last of Us level self-seriousness, and it never blows over into, like, Army of Darkness level full-on comedy. It's just that little bit. It's the Evil Dead 2, it's that Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2 level of cheesiness. That little bit.
For as many bones as I just threw you guys, there's a lot of things that I've been seeing Resident Evil fans say about this movie, about this trailer, that have absolutely driven me up a wall. To the point where I understand why some people look at the reactions and look at some of the rationales of why you guys are saying this is absolutely going to be a bomb, or even worse, that you hope it's going to be a bomb, which will never make sense to me. I understand some people looking at that and going, this fan base is out of their fucking minds. So let's dive into some of the
Hey, I love Resident Evil, but I hate Resident Evil fans. I said it, and I'm gonna keep fucking saying it. People like you are the reasons why I refuse to interact with fandoms. Y'all are just infuriating.
Commonly hailed criticisms and frustrations and reasons for being apprehensive that I have seen since this trailer dropped about 4 days ago. And the main one, obviously, is that people are saying this doesn't look or feel like Resident Evil. This doesn't look like a faithful adaptation. There is no visible connections that I can pull from this that make me think Resident Evil. If that title card didn't come up at the end, I wouldn't even know what I was watching. I would argue that there's plenty of things in this trailer that feel very Resident Evil to me, even just in a 2-minute teaser trailer where you have an everyman character that is looking through drawers in this fucked up looking house, and he's got a pistol in one shot, and then he finds a shotgun, and eventually he's shown with an MP5. The creature designs that we have seen and the tone of it, even him reaching for the keys on the dead body just to have it pulled away, probably leading to some kind of a pseudo boss battle. I mean, that is Resident Evil right fucking there. I mean, there's a lot of things you can pull from this trailer that I think very much feels like Resident Evil. But if you want to wash all that away, let's just say what you're actually saying. This doesn't have Leon or Claire or Chris Redfield in it, so this isn't Resident Evil. This isn't showing the Raccoon City Police Department, or this isn't showing the Arklay Mountains and the Spencer Mansion, so this doesn't look like Resident Evil.
That really is what most of the complaints are at the end of the day, is it's not something I instantly recognize, so that therefore it is not Resident Evil. Which on the one hand I get, but on the other, Resident Evil is more than just the Arklay Mountains and the Spencer Mansion and the RPD.
It has to have those iconic and recognizable settings, otherwise this isn't faithful to Resident Evil. It has to have those iconic and recognizable characters as the protagonists and the side characters, otherwise it's not faithful to Resident Evil. Even though if you have all of that and it doesn't look one for one like the game, we're going to bitch anyway. It has to have those things.
See, also welcome to Raccoon City. Also, not having those characters doesn't... Also, saying it's not Resident Evil because it doesn't feature Leon or Claire or Jill makes less than 0 sense because Outbreak exists, you fucking chode sandwiches.
All of them, one for one, or this is not a faithful Resident Evil adaptation. And my main question to push back on that is, what does faithful to Resident Evil even look like right now? Because it's not like we've gotten 13, 15 games at the Spencer Mansion or at the Raccoon City Police Department. These games have wildly different settings, wildly different tones, wildly different gameplay styles, a huge and vast and diverse cast of characters, all different ages, all different origins, all different styles of characters. You have even different perspectives where some games are top-down, old school, fixed camera angle tank controls. Some are over-the-shoulder 3D action games, third person. Other ones are first-person shooters. Like, what does it even have to look like Resident Evil when Resident Evil doesn't even have like a templated look or feel or vibe or story or character?
Never forget that the original games borrowed their look and feel from the original Alone in the Dark trilogy. Oh yeah, bet some of you fans didn't even realize that. Yeah, the whole static camera angles and the tank controls and the inventory management, where it's kind of like a horror-ish adventure game where the whole setting is like a giant puzzle box. Yeah, that Capcom did not invent that. They refined it, but they did not create it. You can thank Infogrames with Alone and Bruno Bonnell with the Alone in the Dark trilogy for that.
Main example I keep pulling out whenever I see something like this is, tell me what is faithful to Resident Evil about Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. The game that quite literally, and this is not a debate, quite literally put this franchise back on the map, brought it out from hell after Resident Evil 6, and set it up to be the massive, monstrous success that it has continued to be ever since Resident Evil 7. For a game that I have played top to bottom, left to right, about a dozen times at this point, there is almost nothing Resident Evil about that game. You get a couple of lore drops about Umbrella in like the third act of the game. You get a completely unrecognizable, by the way, version of Chris Redfield that shows up for like 2 fucking lines right before the game cuts to black. Everything up to that point, this could have been anything. This could have been any game, any franchise, and if I didn't tell you were playing a Resident Evil game, you really probably couldn't figure that out. Like, you might be able to put together some of the classic elements like the keys and the backtracking and be like, you know, this feels very Resident Evil inspired, but I doubt a lot of people would go, oh, this is obviously the next Resident Evil game, and yet it's one of the most successful, one of the most critically and fan acclaimed, and is a game that put this franchise back into the healthiest spot that it's ever been. You're telling me somebody can't do that with a movie? You're telling me somebody can't have a completely original story with a completely original character that absolutely embraces the spirit of these games and a lot of the core gameplay and experience elements to it, like item management, like slowly getting an arsenal of guns, the different creatures, feeling like you are slowly descending into hell. You're telling me that you can't have a movie that possibly does all of that very well.
Oh! Exposed, 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 exposed. You are exposed. Exposed, 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 exposed. You are exposed, sir. I'm gonna expose you. Expose you. Oh my God, expose you. Exposed, exposed, exposed.
Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
That we can accept as a Resident Evil movie because it doesn't have Jill or Claire or Leon or Chris in it, and it doesn't take place at the Spencer Mansion. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous to me. It's to the point where I honestly believe if you took this exact same teaser trailer and it was a video game that was being teased, a new Resident Evil chapter after Requiem, there wouldn't be much bitching. You know, of course there's going to be some, there's always naysayers. There was naysayers about Requiem, and that game's fucking incredible. But if this was a video game teaser, and at the very end it said Resident Evil 10, people would be losing their shit. They'd be like, oh my God, it's going back to its roots, baby! But because it's a movie adaptation, it's all bullshit. Whatever, I digress. The next thing that I've seen, and this is the most annoying one, because this is where fans get extremely nitpicky and they just sound like children to me, and everybody else who isn't fans, the timeline inconsistencies that have been called out. So going back to what I said earlier, where Zach Kreger at some point has said that, I think the exact quote was, I like to think that this story is taking place alongside the events of Resident Evil 2. Like, we have our own story with this character on this other side of town while everything is going on at the Raccoon Police Department. And while I understand why people would connect the dots from that into, oh, so he's saying this is taking place at 1998, because that's when the original PlayStation game took place. I don't think that you should hold him to that, because even if they decided to do...
I like to think it literally is. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things doesn't belong. Can you tell which of these is not like the other before I finish singing this song? Some of y'all never watched Sesame Street, and it shows.
Do a completely faithful adaptation of Resident Evil 2, I highly doubt they would set it in 1998. It would absolutely be a modernized version of it. And so you have Zach Kreger saying this, like, in my movie universe that I am creating, this is a wholly new take on this universe. I like to think that what's going on with my character is happening at the same time as whatever version of Raccoon City Police Department with Leon and Claire in my movie universe is happening. Like, that's how I read and interpret these statements. Again, all up to interpretation, but the fact that people have been so ironclad about, he fucking said it's in 1998 and there's cell phones in this movie. Obviously, he's a hack. Yeah, it's way more reasonable to think that a filmmaker with that level of success is so incompetent to have a movie set in 1998 with a fucking iPhone than to assume that maybe his statements were worded poorly or were not meant to be interpreted that literally. And the even better one, which is people looking at the teaser and going, what the fuck, bro? Why is there snow? There was no fucking snow in Resident Evil 2. There's no snow in Raccoon City. This is bullshit. First of all, Raccoon City is right next to mountains, the Arclay Mountains. And while I don't remember there being any snow in the original Resident Evil or even the remake, is it really that ridiculous of a change to just aesthetically set this movie closer towards the winter? I think the original game took place, in like late September, early October, so he shifted it a month. Who gives a fuck? I think it's awesome to have snow as an aesthetic for a Resident Evil game. It worked great in Village. Why does that matter? Like, that even more than the cell phone is just like, really? That's what we're gonna harp down on? That's the sign of distress? That is the fucking signal flare that this movie is gonna be a disaster?
People just want to weaponize how autistically they have, I wonder if these people have actually played Resident Evil, or if they just read the entire wiki, and now nobody... This is one of the things I hate about fandoms. Nobody wants to actually enjoy the stuff. Nobody wants to enjoy Resident Evil. Everybody wants to get into a pissing match on social media over who can autistically recall every single minute plot point and character motivation and character origin down to the tiniest of details. Nobody wants to actually enjoy Resident Evil or be a or play the Resident Evil games. Everybody just wants to be a complete aspie on Twitter. You people are fucking retarded.
Tell you what right now. If the biggest issues that I have walking out of Zach Kreger's film is that I saw a cell phone and there was snow on the ground, I'm doing pretty fucking good. Again, I don't understand why fans would harp so hard on certain details when he did not literally say this movie is set in 1998 in the exact same setting, the exact same timeline as the video games, 1000%. He said, I like to think that this is taking place along the things that are happening at Raccoon Police Department in this universe. In this universe. Key fucking phrase there. But even with those doozies out of the way, there are two criticisms towards this teaser and this movie that I have seen so-called Resident Evil fans really dig their feet in the sand on that absolutely baffle me, that literally make my mind go numb. And the first one is that this movie's bullshit, there's not enough zombies, there's way too many creatures, that creature was never in Resident Evil. Okay. First.
As if Resident Evil has not constantly surprised us with brand new creatures before, from game to game. From game to game.
You are made of stupid.
Tell me your only experience with Resident Evil is watching Leon Aura farming edits on TikTok.
First of all, we haven't seen the fucking movie. I think he said there's only going to be like 2 or 3 zombie scenes, but who knows how massive those sequences are going to be. Maybe zombies are the predominant creature we're going to have in this game. But have you ever played a Resident Evil game? I understand that zombies are kind of the poster child for the first 3, but there has always been a bunch of other creatures, a bunch of other variants of what the T virus and the G virus have done to not only humans, but other animals, other species. I mean, you had William Birkin, you had the Tyrant. I mean, if you just want to focus on the first game, you fought mutant dogs, mutant amphibians, a giant plant, and a fucking shark, but a creature with multiple limbs coming out of a door.
Not to mention a gigantic fucking spider. I mean, you fought several gigantic spiders, but you also... But one especially huge, humongous, hugeanous fucking spider. And lest we forget the Hunters, the Lickers, the Chimera, the Brain Suckers from the original RE3, the Bandersnatches from Code Veronica, unless we forget all the crazy fucked up shit we got from the Las Plagas in 4 and 5, Wesker with his whole Ouroboros thing, all the crazy mutations from the C virus in RE6, all the freaky fucking shit from the Molded in RE7. RE8 had fucking werewolves in it, and a 9'6" vampire lady that the entire internet was fapping to day and night. Like, actually go fuck yourselves.
Door and a giant fat guy in the sewer. Fucking shark, but a creature with multiple limbs coming out of a door and a giant fat guy in the sewer. That's just way fucking over the top for Resident Evil, right? Get the fuck out of here. That's the kind of shit that I read that makes me think that people that are chiming in and retweeting and everything are not even fans of the games. Haven't played a single one of them. They either just want engagement, which is a pretty common thing nowadays, monetizing rage, or they're just one of those jackasses that just want to jump into arguments. They want tribalism, they want fights, and so even if they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, they will happily open their mouth and pretend that they do. And if you let them talk long enough, they absolutely tell on themselves. There are more games in the Resident Evil franchise that don't focus on zombies than ones that do. And even the ones that do, as I've already proven with just talking about the original, have always had other creatures in there. So shut the fuck up. And the last one that I've seen is that this movie is off base and is not a faithful Resident Evil adaptation because we are following an everyman character. We're following a package courier, not a militaristic trained hero like Chris Redfield or Leon Kennedy.
Chris and Jill were just cops. Yeah, they were military trained in RE1, but they were just cops. They were regular people. Leon was a rookie on his first day on the job. Claire was a college student. Ethan, RE7, was just a regular guy. I think he was a software engineer, actually. Grace was a field analyst. Grace was an FBI analyst, a forensic analyst. She wasn't a field agent. She was just a regular analyst with really bad social anxiety. So, like, do we even have to get over the multitude of occupations amongst the playable characters in Outbreak? You fucking turds?
See, see a lot of my attitude on the last point. Are you even a Resident Evil fan? Have you even played these games? I'll give you Chris and Jill for the first game, but every other game after that, you're not typically playing as a trained...
Well, the thing is, except for Chris and Jill in the first game, Chris's military background he was an Air Force pilot before he became a cop. Jill was in the Army before she became a cop. Now, granted, she did complete Special Forces training, but at the same time, she was just Army to cop. And yeah, the STARS team, the STARS team was founded as an anti-gang unit, but my point stands. They were just cops in a Midwestern mountain township. They were not BSAA hardened veterans in the war on bioterror in the first game.
But every other game after that, you're not typically playing as a trained hero unless you're revisiting a character like Leon Kennedy. Even Leon Kennedy, the great Leon, the most popular character, kind of the poster child for the video game franchise.
The most overrated character in Resident Evil history. Sorry, not sorry.
The very first game, he's a newbie. He is a recruit. He's got a little bit of training, but he's green as fuck. He's only a militaristic badass as he goes on to the video game series in Resident Evil 4, and then Resident Evil 6, and especially in Requiem. You don't just start with that character. And then you have characters like Claire Redfield in the second game that are just a college student looking for her brother that gets into the shit. Ethan Winters, the main character of Resident Evil 7 and 8, is quite literally an everyman, and while he's not necessarily a lot of people's fan favorite character, he is still a pretty well-liked and beloved character. And then you have Grace in Resident Evil 9, who, yes, technically works for the FBI, but she's like a desk person. She's absolutely an average Joe that's just thrown into this. She's a regular-ass woman who is thrown into this crazy situation.
Yeah, she's a freaking pencil pusher! She's a desk jockey! And is following a medical courier that far out of left field for Resident Evil? I don't fucking think so.
And luckily has Leon the badass there to help her out, but eventually learns to hold her own, eventually learns to fuck up all these liquors and everything on her own. Being an everyman, an average person who is thrown into this hellish, horrific, larger-than-life descent into hell situation that you start off with no skills, no training, no balls, no grit, no weapons, no items whatsoever, and you slowly gain that throughout the story. There's nothing more Resident Evil than that. Like, that specific point almost makes me believe that these are just people who have only seen, like, the first couple Paul W.S. Anderson movies, and that's their understanding of Resident Evil, and those bitches are chiming in on this. And there has been some revisionist history going on with that, too, where you see people that are like, you know, in light of this new teaser for Zach Cregger's film, I look back to the Resident Evil times that were great, the glory days of the Paul W.S. Anderson 6-film franchise, and I realize that he truly understood these games, and he was respectful to the fans of this franchise, because...
If you unironically say that, I'm just going to assume that your parents were first cousins.
He had the respect to put fan-favorite locations and fan-favorite characters into his movies and tell a different story that still includes them. Oh yeah, as a fucking Leon Kennedy fanatic, I felt respected as shit with the way they used him. Like I said,
As someone whose favorite Resident Evil character is Barry, I was most definitely... I most definitely did not feel at all blue-balled by the way he was utilized. Yeah, he had more respect for Resident Evil fan favorites. Yeah, to use them as fucking window dressing for a character, for a glorified superhero with more hairstyle changes than personality traits. Oh! Fuck you! Oh!
It's enough to make my mind just turn to mud. Just turn to absolute pink paste. Because, my God, the logic with some of this just makes my balls hurt. I understand being a fan that has hesitancy. I understand being a fan that feels burned, like battered wife syndrome, where this is the 8th attempt at adapting this to the big screen, and we have not had a general success yet. Why would I have faith that they're going to do it this time? I hear you. That is a reason, along with just not being a Zach Kreger fan, that I can understand being apprehensive. And we'll find out in September whether your apprehension is valid or you're pleasantly surprised. And my God, I hope for the latter, of course. But any fans that, one, are hoping for this to be a failure, to be a bomb, because of what they perceive to be this film in a teaser, or because they want what they want, which half the time they don't even know what the fuck they want. Like, why would you ever hope for a failure? I guarantee you this. If this movie, whether it is your flavor of faithful or not, if this movie is a big success, if critics like it, if it makes a lot of money, and more fans and audience members than not really like it, you have a better chance of getting that faithful adaptation that you so crave in that version of events than if this absolutely eats shit at the box office. Because what studio in their right mind is going to fund a decent budget for a Resident Evil film, or even more so a TV adaptation, if Zach Kreger can't even make a successful one? So I don't care what justification you...
He isn't wrong. People who are hoping that this will flop and that will somehow that will magically teach Hollywood that fans want the game in movie form. That is not what that is not what the C-suite executives who run these Hollywood studios are going to learn are going to learn from Zach Kreger's Resident Evil bombing if it bombs. What they're going to learn is, well, Resident Evil used to make a lot of money, now it doesn't make money anymore. So we'll just stop making Resident Evil movies. That is what they're going to take from it, you fucking retards. I swear, people online and Hollywood executives are... the level of absolute retardation you people share is just staggering.
If you're somebody that hopes and prays for the failure of this movie, you're not a Resident Evil fan. You're appropriating my culture, bitch. Get out of here. If you're somebody that is a fan, though, that hopes this movie is great, but has a lot of reasons why you're unsure about it, we won't know until we see the movie. You know, this might be a video that I look back on and go, damn, I gotta eat shit and crow on that one. But we'll find out. September 18th, I believe. Can't get here soon enough. I hope that I walk out of that film and go, fuck, yes. This is exactly what I wanted. This feels so much like a fan of these video games brought this experience to the big screen in a way that I could only dream of. And all the people that did not have the faith in this film, they're going to walk out so pleasantly surprised. I hope that is what happens. But we'll find out in September. Other than that, I just hope the discourse isn't this miserable the more that we get closer to it. Because, my God, like, some of you make sense, some of you are talking out of your ass. Anyway, guys, let me know down below, how do you feel about this movie? Like, do you have a legit issue with this teaser or what you have heard about this film that does not fall into a lot of the nonsense that I have attacked here? Do you actually have something that you feel like is valid that nobody is discussing, or at least nobody is discussing in a sensible way? Please let me know down below. I'd love to have that conversation. But until this movie comes out, all I can do as a fan of both the franchise of video games and of Zach Kreger is hope for the best. So we'll see where things shake in a few months. That's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed that, please click over here for all of my 2026 new release reviews. I'm also going to put a playlist up here of all my coverage of the Resident Evil movies. If you're a fan of those, please like, share, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss everything in the future. And as always, remember, opinions are like assholes. That doesn't mean you have to be.
Nah. Alright, well, I know I said if we had time, we would cover Gara's new video. Unfortunately, we do not have time, because it's almost 8 o'clock. Well, yeah, almost 8 o'clock my time. So I'm going to cap it off here. Everybody stopped in. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you on Friday for movie discussions with myself and Kason.